What is up, guys? Welcome to another podcast on Ron and Roger's Dr. Pepper Pub. Today, we'll be discussing and reviewing The Abyss, the 1989 film directed by James Cameron. I absolutely love this film. This is my second favorite movie of all time, after The Shining. That's my favorite movie of all time. So yeah, I absolutely love this film. Ron, what do you think of this film?
I was kind of surprised. It's almost like more than one movie, and I mean not just because it's almost 3 hours. It's obviously spoilers for it, but you have a lot of different elements in this, and it kind of feels like a couple movies in one, but in a good way. It's not like it's they tried to put too much stuff in it. Yeah. It's a long movie, but it does handle all its concepts well.
Yeah. It's like on the one hand it's like a romance movie between Bud and what was her name? Lindsay. And
Yeah.
it's also like an alien movie. And it's also like a nuclear drama with all the nuclear stuff, and like Coffee wants to blow everything up. And so it's actually like 3 movies almost.
And then there's also the action element with it's with fighting the guy, I think you said his name's Coffee, who's trying to detonate the nuclear weapon.
Yeah. What did you like the most of this film?
Probably I would say the effects. I was really surprised at how well some of these effects were, especially considering this was in 1989. I thought
yeah.
A lot of pretty much, I mean, other than like the CGI for the water thing, other than that, pretty much everything was like really good. And that CGI was really understandable because, it was 1989. But like the set, everything underwater, I thought was believable. I thought the diving scenes, I thought looked as good as or better than some that are shot nowadays.
Yeah, did you know that the water creature, that was actually the first 3D CGI character ever put to film?
Oh man.
So James Cameron also did I believe T-2000 or something, like the silver guy in Terminator 2. Do you know who I mean?
I think so.
Yeah, that was also a 3D character, but that was actually the first one ever put to film. So that's what makes it kind of fun to me, that it looks so fake, because it's like the story behind it that just makes it okay to me.
And I think
it's like the first ever put to screen. It's just history.
I think also all the underwater scenes and the diving scenes to me looked really, really well done. I don't know if they were actually shot underwater or whatever, but I mean
yeah, they did.
It really did look good.
Yeah, I don't know if you have read any trivia of this film, but this movie was hell to film. On one day when they filmed, Ed Harris almost died actually, and when driving home, he actually just had to stop along the road, and because he had to cry because he almost fucking died.
That's intense.
I know. And in one scene, or in one day of the filming, one of the filming days, when oh my god, I don't know what I was gonna say. The actress who plays Lindsay, she had to do some really intense stunts, and it went wrong, and James Cameron had to refilm it every single time. And on one time, the actress who plays Lindsay got so mad at James Cameron that she actually screamed at him, "We're not animals." So this film was definitely hell to film.
I mean, but looking at the footage, I don't know if it's worth it, but it definitely, I don't know if it's worth someone dying, but it's definitely looked really realistic.
I know. Ed Harris doesn't really like to talk about this film too, because I can understand. I mean, he almost died while making a film.
How do you go back and film the next day after that?
I know. Like, it must be shit to go back.
I heard something similar happened with Michael Rooker in Cliffhanger. That I think he almost died during one scene. But man, this is like that's intense. You know, I mean nowadays pretty much everything's shot. You know, in in Avengers, almost everything was shot in a green screen, blue screen, whatever room.
Yeah.
You know, and then think like there are movies where there are people pretty much dying for, you know, just like 30 years ago. What did you think about the pacing and the acting and all that?
I think the pacing in this film is phenomenal. I mean, it's a movie that's over 2 hours, but it feels like it's 1.5 hours. It flies by extremely quick.
But yeah, I don't really like to really watch trailers before I see movies because I feel like they spoil too much. I don't like to read anything about it. But I had seen this. I sat down to see this movie, and I knew pretty much nothing about it. All I really knew was from like the thumbnail was that it was underwater, and that was about it. And I hit play, and I looked at the time, and I was like, "Whoa, this is 2 hours 50 minutes," you know. But I did watch it in 3 sessions. First, I got up and had a snack, and then my brother got home after, so I just said hi to him. But it was definitely entertaining. I mean, it's a long movie, but it's not a boring movie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I once watched this movie twice in a row. At first I watched the theatrical cut, and after that the special edition. So yeah, that definitely tells a lot about the pacing, because I never really do that actually. This movie also has a novelization, and the first 3 chapters about in the novelization are all about Bud, Lindsay, and Coffee, and they tell a lot about their characters actually. They tell some stuff about how Lindsay's father used to design stuff, and then one day his father brought some Legos home, and she started building like deep core in Legos. So that's actually really cool. I would have actually kind of loved to have seen that in the film.
Yeah.
Although that wouldn't really fit the film and probably would have ruined the pacing. But it's really cool that that's in the novelization. There's a lot of backstory about the characters, and Coffee actually gets bullied when he was young, so that kind of
explains
his motivations more.
And then also psychosis doesn't help under the sea. What did you think of the action sequences in this?
Oh, they're really exciting, especially with the music by Alan Silvestri, who is one of my favorite composers of all time. Like, I'm getting off guard here. I'm not talking about the action scenes anymore, but let me just talk about the soundtrack for a second. The soundtrack in this film is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get any more epic than this.
I think that's a really good point. Like,
I rewatched this film, and just immediately got goosebumps when I heard the song again.
I think probably the best example in the movie of that is near the end, when I think he's coming up from the alien ship, and you see sunlight right as like soundtrack hits its peak, and to me that was like, I actually got goosebumps listening to it, because I thought that was really well done.
I know, but like the action sequences are really cool, especially the fight scene, like the hand-to-hand combat fight scene between Coffee and Bud. Like the scene where there's like a LED light hanging between them, and it's swinging from left to right. And that scene was pretty intense and really cool, actually. I especially liked that action scene.
I kept hoping one of them was going to grab it and like throw it into the other guy. But I thought that was really well done, and also just the idea of the fight scene, because you have this untrained but really determined guy, and then you have this professionally trained fighter, but hasn't slept in like 2 days, and he's like having hallucinations, and his mind's fighting against him. So I thought that was a really cool fight scene.
Yeah, me too. I mean, really, when you think about the concept of a trained soldier versus like an old drilling guy, that's really unfair. That makes it all the more intense, especially since the kind of like weak guy has to fight against is like the good guy.
Yeah.
So you're rooting for the guy who really doesn't have that much experience in fighting. But yeah, what do you think of the ending? Like, what do you think of the wave?
The wave, I thought was well, I mean, it is 1989, but for the effects, but I kind of didn't really like that idea for the ending, because then you have like humanity who's fighting and everything, and then you have this species that can control water, which I'll admit is pretty good, but doesn't really seem to be that scary if you're in like a landlocked area. And then also, inevitably, when you have something like that happen around the world, there's going to be a major investigation, and I would think they would probably end with people finding and trying to kill the aliens.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really get why the aliens did it. I mean, sure, because the aliens, like the humans, don't love each other.
Yeah.
But at first, they seem like really friendly creatures. Like when the water creature comes along.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they want to kill the human race. Like, it doesn't really make that much sense, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So that's really, honestly, I prefer the special edition because of all the extra scenes you get with the crew. But I do really prefer the ending of the theatrical edition.
One thing that...
Did you know that this movie does not have a Blu-ray? Like, even Cliffhanger has a 4K,
4K
HD Blu-ray now, or something like that. But The Abyss doesn't even have a Blu-ray. It's just like, what the fuck? How is that even possible? I mean, this movie would look amazing in full HD.
Yeah, especially with some of the
But
underwater
James Cameron
scenes.
is probably busy making 10 Avatar sequels, I guess.
Yeah, another Avatar movie. One thing, I saw this. I'm not 100%. I'm not a scientist, so don't like quote me on this. But the whole underwater bomb, nuclear bomb, kind of got, I guess, diffused as a plot device to me after I saw this one video that explains, like what would happen if you detonate a nuclear bomb underwater. And the gist of it is basically nothing. I mean, underwater, nuclear bombs do so much less than above water because of the water pressure. And if you're like 2 or 3 miles away, I think the nuclear bomb wouldn't even do anything. And I've just like I said, don't quote me on that because I'm not a scientist and I haven't seen the video in like a couple months. But it kind of made the whole thing where they're trying to detonate a bomb pointless, just because it wouldn't really do anything.
But they did it for the aliens, you know that, right?
But weren't the aliens like 20,000 feet deeper?
No, their city was actually right there. Or at least that's in the novelization. You don't really get to see that in the movie.
Because in the movie, it seemed more like to me, when I saw it, it seemed more like he was just kind of chilling at the bottom of the sea with the bomb. That was a long break between words. And it seemed like he was just kind of hanging down there with the bomb, and then the alien brought him down further. But I don't know. But yeah, basically it's that the nuclear bomb really wouldn't do much. That kind of did alter the movie to me.
What did you think of the acting in this film?
I enjoyed it. I couldn't really think of any moments where the acting was thin. I thought I think the guy Coffee, I think you said his name was, did a particularly good job with the handshaking and just being a convincing villain. I mean,
yeah, right.
There wasn't a ton more emotion, but I thought he, I would say, was the most convincing of his character.
I also think Ed Harris was amazing in this film, especially when you think all the shit he had to deal with behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
And the scene where he has to, the best scene in Ed Harris's career and in this movie with Ed Harris is definitely the scene where Lindsay, he's trying to get Lindsay back. Like, that scene is Oscar worthy, if you ask me, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty well acted too.
And did you know that in a lot of scenes you actually do not see Lindsay? Lindsay wasn't even there. The actress wasn't there. She ran off set because she was so angry, so pissed off at James Cameron. So they had to shoot scenes without her. So Ed Harris had to act at air. Like, he had to act at nothing. That makes it all the more interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't even see, like, the body laying there, so it was like, oh, yeah, this is easy to act. No, it's actually really hard to act at nothing. So that makes it all the more
He's just doing CPR, like trying to bring I don't know what I'm going to say. Did you have anything else to say about The Abyss?
Yeah, this is like on my number one list of movies I would love to see in theaters. I mean, my local theater sometimes really just has some, like, I don't know how to say this, but they just show older classic movies in theaters again. And this is definitely one of them I would love to see again in theater. Yeah, because this would be an amazing experience. I mean, The Abyss on a big screen with all the amazing effects and stuff, that's like experiencing the movie all over again.
Yeah, I think
for the first time.
I think if the underwater scenes, if it was like remastered, I think the underwater scenes and the soundtrack would be particularly interesting to see in high quality.
Yeah, and there's like a full HD cut of The Abyss flying around the internet. I didn't get to find it myself, but that would be really cool, actually, if I could find that one someday. But they should just make a Blu-ray for The Abyss. Like, next year, it's the 30th, I think. Yeah, 30th anniversary of this film. And if they don't release a special edition, they're fucking morons. Like, for real. Because I would love to get like a box set for The Abyss with all kinds of special features and maybe even concept art cards or stuff like that.
Yeah, this would definitely be a good movie remastered.
Yeah, and next year is their perfect opportunity. I mean, 30 years anniversary. I mean, come on. It took you. It was hell to film. And it has a pretty big fan base. But you still don't release it on Blu-ray. Then it just wasn't worth all the struggles and shit you've went through.
Yeah.
Just make that worth it and put it out on Blu-ray. Don't just do nothing with all the struggles you've been through. Do you have anything else to say about The Abyss?
I guess just that with a movie that's this long, normally you can find a couple scenes like, oh, you could cut this part out and you can cut this part out. But I can't think of anything like that with The Abyss. Because it's telling such a big story, and there are all these little parts, and I think that kind of justifies it being almost 3 hours.
This movie does the best job in showing what a character feels and showing his feelings about someone without actually showing him or her saying anything, without having him say or her say anything.
Yeah.
If Bud throws away the wedding ring from Lindsay, and then he grabs it out of the toilet again, and that just shows
dedication. Yeah.
That they still love each, or that he still loves her.
Yeah.
And I just love that scene.
There was one time that happened to me. I actually dropped my Game Boy Advance in the toilet, and the toilet was used, and I still got it out. So I think that also shows love and dedication.
And I really love the detail, like his arm is all blue because of the toilet. And
Yeah.
Later in the scene, someone says, "Your arm is all blue."
And then he says, "Why don't you just shut up and pack your gear?" But to
Yeah, right.
that guy, I thought one of my favorite parts about that was that like 2 hours later in the movie, his hand is still blue. I really enjoyed that part. So overall, what score out of 10 would you give The Abyss?
Honestly, a 10 out of 10. I mean, I don't really know what a negative about it. Sure, the effects sometimes look off, but it's 1989, so I can forgive that. Especially the water creature, I can forgive that because it's history. I mean, it's the first 3D character ever put to screen. What kind of score would you give it?
I'm kind of thinking about a 9.2 or 9.3, because it does so much well. Just that I kind of feel like while none of the scenes are, superfluous, none of them are just kind of filler. I feel like they could have also handled some elements without it, getting to like almost 3 hours. But other than that, I thought pretty much everything was great about it.
Yeah, me too.
Specifically the underwater sequences. I think I said this before, but I mean, this isn't like, some green screen on a helmet, with whatever CGI guy underwater. This is actually filmed underwater, and I think that makes it so much more believable.
I especially like the behind the scenes stuff. Like there's a behind the behind the scenes of the Abyss documentary on YouTube, and I watched that, and it's extremely interesting. You should really check it out.
All right. Well, if that's all you had to say, then I guess that's the end of this week's podcast. Make sure to join back next week when we will be covering Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. All right. I guess if that's all you had to say, then be sure to join back next week. We'll be covering Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. All right. I guess if that's I'm not doing it a third time. I'm not doing it a third time. All right. Later, guys.
See ya. See ya. See ya.